Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of Worcester City Council, being held this Tuesday, April 18th, 2022, although it feels more like March or the end of February than April. We're in council chambers and live streamed on YouTube. It's after 7:30 p.m. The next meeting will be Monday, May 2nd, 2022. I don't know why May looks so strange all of a sudden. If you would, Mr. Paulo, please call the roll.
Mr. Cavan.
Here.
Ms. Knappich. Here. Mr. Myers.
Here.
Mr. Reynolds.
Here.
Mr. Sanders.
Here.
Mr. Silvestri.
Here.
And Ms. Warden. Here.
It's great to see everyone here, so we do have a quorum. The agenda will remain as presented. And at this time, I would ask you to join City Council in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stuck on your chair.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April 4, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Silvestri to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Myers. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, say nay. The minutes of April 4, 2022 are approved. Welcome, Mr. Mayor, welcome, welcome, Mr. Mayor, and appreciate you speaking tonight. And I don't know what more you'll have to add, what Mr. Montgomery and Mr. Doherty have said, but I will certainly be interested in see what's happened in the last 2 weeks since we've been here.
Well, thank you, President Biden-Dyke. And yeah, I'll start off by saying thank you to Joel Montgomery and Andre Doherty for the reports that they gave you. Joel with his operations report of our city, the city divisions that make up our staff here in Worcester, and Andre for giving the first quarter report on the financial position of our city. I think both presentations were very informative. Hopefully you gained some knowledge out of both of them and helpful to City Council and the public. And these will be found on our WorcesterOH.com website here starting tomorrow. So thanks to our managers, some who are still here, for joining us tonight, and all of the personnel of the city for their efforts. I hate to start off on a sad note, but our area was saddened with the loss of Lieutenant Phil Weigel of West Salem Town and Country Fire Department, who died in the line of duty at an accident on I-71. And also Erica Springer, the wife of Lieutenant Mike Springer of our city fire department, who passed away last week. Erica was an ER supervisor at Wooster Community Hospital and executive director of the Wayne County Fire Regional Training Facility in Apple Creek. Both funerals were held at the Nazarene Church on Oak Hill last week, and our heartfelt condolences go out to both of their families and friends. Our safety forces had a big part in the funerals. I know our fire department was very involved in it and did a tribute with equipment and sort of a pull out of the machinery in honor of Lieutenant Weigel. And I know our police was fully involved in making sure that everything flowed smoothly. I wanted to touch on what's called an ISO rating. It's the Insurance Service Office, and it has to deal with our Building Standards Division. And I asked Tim O'Day if he would stay for a minute, because really it's his world and his department that gets these ISO ratings, and I'd like him to sort of explain that if he would. So Tim?
It's a tri-annual in-depth analysis that this organization does of the building department. And it's, used for underwriting purposes, and so individual credits are given to homeowners' policies or business owners for their policies of coverage. And it's done on a scale of 1 to 10. They give you a building code effectiveness grading score, 1 being the best and 10 being the worst. And a score of 10 means you still meet the threshold of providing safety, 1 being excellent. And we scored a 3 for residential construction and a 4 for commercial, which puts us as some of the top performers in the state, probably in the top 10% or top 25% for commercial, for sure. Pretty good score for a city of our size. And they come in and they look at your administrative functions, your plan review functions, your inspection functions in depth. They're here for most of the day, do an analysis, they collect a lot of data, go back to their office and crunch the numbers, and they come up with this detailed analysis of what you're doing. So it really is a credit to the city for the resources that we invest as a community and as a city into code enforcement. And it's something that really the community benefits from, because it's going to be given as credits to people who have, insurance policies. And so we were pretty proud of it as a team effort of reflecting, the hard work of everybody in the department.
Great, thank you, Tim. Tim's probably being a little modest, but every 3 years is when these ISO ratings take place. And there are over 700 building departments in the state of Ohio. And since Tim's been involved, I think the last 2 times we've been in the 3 to 4 range on these ratings. So our guys do a super job, and Tim's to be commended for his work in trying to create the best kind of building department around. So thank you, Tim. We appreciate it. And finally, it's hard to believe with the snow falling today, but spring is here, with the farmers market starting on May 14th in our downtown, so about 3.5 weeks from now. And the summer season is almost upon us. Ohio Light Opera is back this year with a full schedule starting June 18th, and Main Street will be programming the pavilion in the square again this summer with musical performances every Thursday and Friday evenings starting May 26th through October 7th that are free to the public, along with all the other programming of the downtown. So it's a great time to visit a local restaurant for dinner or grab a door, beverage, and some friends and make a nice evening outing. So with that, President Bidendijk, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no one that has signed up to comment about any legislation, but I'd like to recognize a young man, Mr. David Snyder. Would you stand up and probably introduce that young lady? Is that your sister? That's your mom. Well, would you tell us why you're here?
I'm here to get my citizenship back.
Troop 63? You have any questions for council or the mayor here? Okay, well, we appreciate you coming and observing, and it's nice to see you, and good luck with your endeavors on the Merit Badge Trail.
Thank
you. We have no unfinished business. That will mean we can roll right into new business. The first item is resolution number 22-16. If you would, Ms. DiPaolo, please read that.
Resolution number 2022-16, a resolution authorizing Director of Administration to enter into a professional services contract with McCune Welding Service for repairs to the pool at Christmas Run Park and allowing for immediate enactment.
And Mr. Myers will be presenting this, and I do note that it is a budgeted item. Mr. Myers, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, President Bidendijk. This is a budgeted item for the Christmas Run pool maintenance repairs, and I have the expert here this evening, so I'm going to turn any, why don't you tell them a little bit about what we ran into and what you'd like us to do here?
Yeah,
Alexis and I went out with Scott McCune to assess the wall situation once we drained the pool. That happened, I believe, on April 7th. And we knew that the east wall was buckling, but until we got the pool completely drained, we also noticed that the west wall was also buckling in and out. And so this is being caused by the steel inside, the angles are deteriorating, and then also the pressure from the water pushing the walls in. So when we knew about the east side, the pressure from the water had also caused buckling. Most likely was the reason on the west side as well. So, that increased project cost.
Again, this is budgeted. Because it exceeds the $50,000 threshold, that's why it's before city council, sort of again. So this is a little bit higher than we had previously expected, but there's no surprise that we were going to be entering into this kind of a situation for the Christmas run pool. Does anyone have any questions for Ashley?
Just in terms of, not so much the expenditure, but as far as timing goes, is this going to delay the opening of the pool this summer?
If we can get it done, we hope to have it done before May 10th. So as long as that work can be completed by that date, then there should be no anticipated delay in opening on May 31st.
So that was one of the reasons I'd like us to pass it this evening if possible, so. If there's,
Well, I think Mr. Montgomery said that the pool use was up significantly last year, so I think it's really important that we get this taken care of.
We did some of this, you remember, last year, we had some similar things, and then we've been sort of prepping the council over the last couple of budgets that something more major is gonna have to happen in the next few years.
Sounds like perhaps
Maybe
sooner. This
sooner.
is, yeah.
thank you. One of the things I'd like to do is, I'm going to get with President Bytendike and see if we can have a committee meeting to discuss options and things with regard to Christmas Run Pool, hear a little bit more about what Ashley Hirschberger and the administration, some of their options and thoughts are, and if needed, maybe a committee of citizens as well as the administration and some folks from council to kind of vet out some of those options and get some input. It's going to be a pretty big decision coming at us fairly shortly. Mr. Baddick, I think, was optimistic when or just wanting to not have to answer that hard question as he was retiring, but I think the 5 years that he thought we would be all set for, I don't think that's probably the case. We're probably gonna have to look at it.
And the study was done 4 years ago, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
It's kind of skewed our time.
It doesn't seem like it because we lost 2 years there in the middle, but yeah, you're right. So not gonna blame, we won't blame the departed, so no. But we would like to have a committee meeting, and I'll be letting everybody know when we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna review this in more detail, but for the time being, this has been budgeted, and I'd like to motion to approve this resolution this evening.
Okay, motion to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard Ms. Knappich first, seconded by Ms. Knappich. Any further questions? Seeing none, would you please call the roll on the motion to approve?
Knappich?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Silvestri?
Yes.
Warden?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
And Cavan.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 2022-16 passes. Turn our attention to resolution number 2022-17. It'll be presented by Mr. Silvestri. This too is a budgeted item, will not require suspension of the rules, but it does require that Ms. DiPaolo, if she would, do so, read the title.
Resolution number 2022-17. A resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to advertise according to law and enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for the construction of an extension of the sanitary sewer for the Oak Hill Development Project and declaring and allowing for immediate enactment.
All right, Mr. Silvestri, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. So as part of the presentation tonight that our Director of Administration finished up with, one of the pages is dedicated to the Oak Hill Development Project, and there's 91 homes going in there in the Spring Run area, and that's on the west side of Oak Hill, north of its intersection with Oldman Road. and this is part of the 2022 Oak Hill TIF, the Tax Incremental Financing District and Plan. So in order to service that development, we do need to enter into a contract to extend our sanitary sewer in that area. This is a pretty sizable and significant extension, 2,600 feet, linear feet of 8-inch PVC sanitary sewer line, 3,700 linear feet of 6-inch ductile iron force main. It does include 14 manholes and 2 lift stations. And so it does not require 3 readings tonight. I know Roger is here if there are any specific questions. This is budgeted out of TIF funds. And with that, I would motion to adopt, Mr. President.
All right, motion to adopt by Mr. Sylvester. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sanders. Any discussion? Seeing none, I know
I do just have a question, just clarification. So this is the sanitary sewer extension along Oak Hill, but the extension within the development itself is going to be on the developer.
Connecting to the main.
Right. So we're just getting it there.
Yeah, this includes the lift station and the force main for that development.
Okay. And it's also going to open up the door, not just for this project, I mean, this is the one pressing it, but it's going to open up the door for development either side of the street and continue north. So I guess, I mean, I'm glad to get these 91 home sites underway. I think we're all anxious for that, but this is not just to serve that development.
anything else? Mr. Paul, would you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Myers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Silvestri?
Yes.
Warden?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Cavan?
Yes.
And Knapp.
Yes.
Resolution number 2022-17 passes. Brings us to our final piece of legislation, resolution number 2022-18. It is slated for 3 readings. Ms. Warden will be presenting it. Again, for the last time, would you please read the title of this piece of legislation?
Resolution number 2022-18. A resolution declaring the necessity of constructing sidewalks and curb ramps on portions of Oakley Road, Saunders Drive, and allowing for immediate enactment.
Ms. Warden, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This is a request to declare necessity of constructing sidewalks along Oakley Road. It's a very small part of the road. It's the curve that connects Oakley Road to Saunders Drive. On the northwest part of that roadway, there are no sidewalks on that area. There are sidewalks across the street, however. The goal of this ordinance, or I'm sorry, this resolution would be to connect the sections of sidewalk where it is not connected currently. The cost of this is estimated to be about $35,000. $26,000 of that would be paid by or assessed to the property owners, which the map that I was given is really dark and hard to see, but I believe that there are 7 or 8 residences there. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 6. There's one very large property, but 6 residences it looks like that would share the cost of the assessments. So I've had a few members of the neighborhood over there give me a call to express their, I guess, discontent with this, and I guess I'm familiar with that area, and I know that it has been a goal for the city to have connected sidewalks throughout. This just doesn't seem like a high priority for me at this point. So what I'm going to suggest is that we leave this on first reading this evening and allow my fellow councilmen to communicate with the rest of the neighbors if they so wish.
Okay, we will consider resolution number 2022-18 as having its first reading. At this point in time, I would seek to have a motion to go in executive session pursuant to revised code 121.22 cap G1.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sanders to go in executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Silvestri. Would you please call the roll on the motion to go into executive session?
Silvestri?
Yes.
Warden?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Cavan?
Yes.
Knappich? Yes. Myers?
Yes.
And Sanders.
Yes.
Okay, we are now officially off the record. All right, before we can officially go back on the record, I will need a motion and a second, and then we'll have a roll call vote
So
to
moved.
come out of executive session. Moved by Mr. Sanders, seconded by Ms. Knappich. Would you please call the roll on the motion to come out of executive session?
Silvestri?
Yes.
Warden?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Cavan?
Yes.
Knappich? Yes. Myers?
Yes.
And Sanders.
Yes.
All right, we are now officially back on the record. This brings us to the miscellaneous portion. One individual has signed to speak. Ms. Gertis, please come to the lectern and state your name and address. And you have 2 minutes. And I'll remind you that if you're unsure when your 2 minutes are up, you can watch this, and it'll make a god-awful noise when you reach the end.
Hi, my name is Julia Gertis. I live at 1315 Bell Avenue, and I'm here to speak today about, I'd like to ask the City Council to release a public statement condemning white supremacy. I'd like to begin by stating that racism is alive and well and is a matter of safety for people of color. For example, due to bias, Black people are disproportionately killed by police officers. Black women are more likely to die in childbirth, and when Black women go missing, their cases don't receive media attention. So these are just some wider scale examples of racism, but I'd also like to say that people should be able to feel psychologically safe, in addition to feeling like they are physically safe. Unfortunately, it's far too common of an experience for my classmates to have racial slurs yelled at them when they're walking along Bell Avenue. I'm here tonight to ask that the City Council release a public statement condemning white supremacy. As representatives for the citizens of the City of Worcester, the City Council has an obligation to speak out against movements that are harmful to its constituents. The city's refusal to condemn white supremacy is in effect tacit approval of it. If the City of Worcester won't release a public statement condemning white supremacy, how can its citizens, especially citizens of color, say with full confidence that their local government protects their rights and safety? The city's silence also sends the message that white supremacy and racial equality are equally moral causes. The right of white supremacists to express their ideas should not be conflated with the moral validity of those ideas. Their First Amendment rights are not a shield with which they can silence opposing ideas. If the City Council cannot agree to release a public statement condemning white supremacy, I encourage City Council members to make public statements as individuals. As representatives of the people of Worcester and as human beings, you each have a moral obligation to exercise your First Amendment rights to speak out against racism. I'd like to end. Thank you.
No, please finish. You were ending.
I'd like to end once again by stating that public condemnation of white supremacy is necessary to keep the City of Worcester a welcoming and safe place for people of all colors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the council portion. We'll start with Mr. Silvestri.
Nothing to add this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Warden?
Just thank you to the administration for putting together a concise presentation for us this evening. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, and thanks for Ms. Ward, no, I believe it was Mr. Myers with the pool proposal. I'm glad to see money going back into Christmas Run Pool. My wife will be very happy because it's getting to be that time of year, believe it or not, so good news.
Mr. Cavan?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Ms. Knappich?
Nothing that's not redundant, thank you.
Mr. Myers?
Thank you, President Biden-Dyke. Ms. Warden left Resolution 20-2218 on first reading. If anyone has thoughts or inputs regarding their feelings of a necessity of adding those sidewalks, please make sure you reach out to your city council at large or ward representative. I've received numerous calls and emails not in support of why that, because of traffic and the sidewalk on the other side, that it's not a necessity and we don't need them. I've not heard from anyone endorsing or suggesting that they would be needed. So if anyone would like to let us know, we'd appreciate those comments before our next meeting. That's all.
Mr. Sanders, you have the last word.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and I will be redundant. Thank you to Mr. Dordia and Mr. Montgomery, as well as all the division managers that helped with the reports and the operation. First, the finance report, and then also the operation report. It's always good to have an update quarterly to see what's going on in the city. Not that we can't look out the window and see, but ultimately, at least from the finance end, yeah, this is something that's good to see that everything's trending well, and hopefully it will continue throughout the rest of this year. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
And I just got one thing to say. I know Mr. Coey is leaving, and I hope he takes with him Ode de Coey, and he can patent it there in Scottsdale, Arizona. So that being said, I see Mr. Sylvester has moved to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Warden. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.